Next question is from Teh509 on YouTube. That's just kicking the problem down the road. This is in relation to a video that I did on cold dry hopping. Unless you are filtering down below 4 you are still going to end up with overcarb beer. The limit dextrinase and amyloglucoside work from 0 to 60C. Whilst it is a lot slower cold, it'll still make it into packaged beer. And if you're not filtering the second you stick cans in a 10C cold room for more than a few weeks, that carbonation will creep up. And maybe I did not explain it well enough. I was talking about using cold dry hopping, which is kind of the technique that is discussed in the new IPA by Scott Janish, which you should definitely check out. I was doing a procedure where I was dropping the yeast out of a beer, dropping it to 58 to 60 degrees F, getting the yeast out of the cone of that, and then dry hopping. Okay. And what he was saying is, what Teh is saying is that if I do that, there's still going to be hop creep, and there is still going to be additional carbonation in those kegs. Now, one, I hope I mentioned in that, I'm not talking about a situation where I'm using this process for a beer that is going into cans on store shelves. So that's one. Two, I can say that I've done this with a lot of beer, and I've never had on a pub system, I've never had an issue with that beer becoming more robustly carbonated in keg. The reality is it may happen, but in a pub scenario, which I was talking about, it might not. That hasn't been my experience with it. Is it possible? Sure. But I think that if you like the character that you get out of that process, give it a shot and see if you run into an issue. It was a process that worked well for me in my time there. Again, I would not want to be slinging distro kegs and cans of that beer, having those beers stored warm or anything like that. But that's the idea. Appreciate the feedback, Teh.